Good morning. Thank you for being here. I'm Dr. Brenda Wells. I'm the chair of the Department of Finance and Insurance. And we're excited to have a panel today of some of our most favorite alumni. So I'm gonna introduce them because they're very special to me. I taught all three of these people. This is A.B. Pinson, Mark Wells, and Nick Causey. A.B. and Mark are from the class of 2014, and Nick is from the class of 2023. They all majored in risk management and insurance, and they all work for RPS in Wilmington. Somebody tell us a little bit about what RPS does.
So RPS, we're a general wholesale broker. We do E&S specialty lines. Do a lot of contracts with Lloyd's of London, so we do a lot of overseas international contracts, specializing in coastal property being Wilmington. RPS is commercial lines, personal lines, professional lines, so that, in a nutshell, we pretty much cover all the bases in the insurance industry. Based out in Chicago is our headquarters. We're part of a bigger parent company, Arthur J. Gallagher. Gallagher it's retail, wholesale, international. I mean, we kind of cover all different facets, risk management as well. AB here is personal lines, so she covers all of that. I'm commercial lines, and Nick is personal.
Okay, thank you. The title of this is what do we call it? If only I had known. All of a sudden I drew a blank. If only I had known. We did this a few years ago with some other alumni and asked them questions about what they did when they were here and what they would have done differently, what they wish they had done or what they're glad they did. So I'm just going to ask them some questions and turn them loose, and they're going to share their stories with you. Now, every major in the College of Business has a student organization of some kind. There's the American Marketing Association, Finance has the Financial Management Association, and Risk Management Insurance has Gamma Iota Sigma. Okay, were you a member of it? And did you, were you involved? Were you an officer? Tell us about your experiences with Gamma.
So I think all three of us were in Gamma. I think Mark and I both joined our junior year. So the only thing that I regret is not joining it sooner, but she didn't come into my class soon enough for me to know about it. So I blame you. But I mean, all the networking opportunities, I don't think there's anything that I regret. I don't know if I'm a secretary or treasurer. I was one of the two. Mark was president. Do you have any regrets?
I would say it's the same as you, just not get involved early enough. And I think there's always the best way to get involved is just word of mouth. Like if you know any friends, family that are coming to the university, get involved early. Bring them with you to any meetings. Get to know your professors. Get on the boards. Just get involved. That's the biggest thing I would say. I think as soon as we found out, all three of us, we were at every meeting we could possibly join, on every trip we could go to. We were just networking, and I can't stress enough how much that piece of it, being involved, brought us to where we are today. So I would say that's probably the biggest thing right now at the top.
Obviously, getting involved really early. Biggest thing for me is taking every single opportunity they give you. There's so many different events, trips, like more classes you can take. You get so much more knowledge of it. So underappreciated. And both of these professors are amazing. It's really beneficial for me.
Tell us about where you traveled. Why don't you start, Nick?
Yeah.
You got the big trip.
So we actually got the chance to go to London and tour Lloyd's of London, which is like the who's who for insurance in the world. We still work with Lloyd's, like you said, day to day. I was able to actually sit with the Hiscox Underwriter, and I have to say I work with Hiscox almost every single day at work now. So it's an amazing trip. We got 11 people.
I think y'all had 11.
For 8 days. Got to tour the entire Lloyd's of London building twice, and they have all kinds of historical stuff in there. It's just a great trip all around. Mostly paid for, as long as you're in RMI, so
Mhm.
it was great.
Yeah, what were y'all charged to go?
I think it was $500, which is
Okay.
fly to London and back,
Yeah.
stay in the hotel all week. It's
We're still at the
You're gonna chaperone. Don't worry. What about you, Mark? Where did you travel?
So, we did, London, I think, started the year after AB and I graduated in 2015. So we
Sorry about
didn't
that.
get any of the international trips. I think now they've actually get RMIs added on Bermuda as well, so they're flip-flopping back and forth on London and Bermuda. But yeah, we ended up in Charlotte. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, we did Charlotte, Myrtle Beach, we did Dallas, Chicago, maybe went DC, but I would say one of the trips that stuck out most was the conference we went to in Dallas. That was a group, probably 8 to 10 of us on that trip as well. We flew down, and I think every single person that attended that trip that was part of RMI took away at least 2 to 3 interviews and a job offer from that conference. Couldn't tell you the conference off the top of my head 10 years later, but what?
It was the game I was thinking.
So Kurt Fickling and Dr. Wells, they both just put us in the best position they possibly could get out and network. People that we met at that conference, I run into still year in, year out. At conferences, even just phone calls, networking. The time here in school really built a great foundation on taking that next step, being comfortable when you got to your workplace, and then having those connections to bounce ideas off and put programs together going on into the future.
I don't really have much to add except for we run into or deal with a lot of the people that we met at some of these conferences, even just the Myrtle Beach conference, daily. One of my best agents is somebody that we met in Myrtle Beach that Mark went to the club with. So, I mean, you can't express like how great the networking opportunities they provide you are. I mean, and they have their relationships too. I mean, you started out in an agency with them too. So,
Yeah.
use your professors too.
Okay, thanks. I think I kind of know the answer to this. Do you wish you had been more involved? I know you said you wish you had gotten in earlier. Do you wish you had done more?
I mean, I feel like when we jumped in head first.
You did.
Yeah, you probably got annoyed of us. The only thing I can say is I wish I would have gotten in maybe freshman or sophomore year, but I just had a lot of fun here. And then I realized that I needed a job after school.
So I think one of the biggest things is when I first started, I reached out to Dr. Wells and Kurt Fickling saying, hey, what can I do to be more involved? So they kind of lined me up with different insurance journal podcasts or insurance journal, websites that I could review, kind of see what's going on in the world of insurance, which I know sounds nerdy, but it's, after you get going, I could probably say we all three love what we do. And that's why we really chose this passion, chose these careers. It's a lot of hard work, but it's a lot of fun as well. And I think that goes to what RMI's put together, going to these conferences, because when you get your first job, you're going to be doing these conferences on a professional level. And you'll see the same group of students there, then you start looking at careers, bringing them on board. So I think if there's anything that I regret not doing right off the bat was just maybe bringing 2 or 3 more of my friends along for the ride. And I think after the fact, after school, I think 2 or 3 more friends jumped in and came along for the ride as well. So, just bring your friends, bring any connections you have, bring them, join and have fun.
Now, speaking of being involved, you hire, like you're in charge of the Wilmington office, right?
Yes.
Okay, so you hired Nick. Was his involvement in his major important to you?
Absolutely.
I would say without a doubt. Nick, having just going through these stories, hearing the trips that he went on, actually met Nick at one of the trips in Greensboro for the North Carolina Surplus Lines Association conference. Came up, introduced himself. Weirdly enough, we had an opening that he was graduating in a month or 2, so it ended up working out not a perfect deal. But him being involved in the major, going on those trips, that is what brought him to the top of the resume stack at the end of the day. Knowing a face, putting a face to the name, and just really getting out there and being involved, that's what got him the job.
Well, and then
asking Vic and Brenda, and he was a good guy. That was also important, because we trust him. So, make a good impression, that's all we have to say.
Yeah, your professors are part of your network, and they should be willing to help you find jobs. And they should be willing to write letters of recommendation for you and vouch for you when somebody calls them. So make sure they know, the professors in your major know who you are. That's really important.
And one thing to piggyback off that, Dr. Wells, is not only us, RPS is 3,000 plus employees, Gallagher's 30,000 plus employees. We're a big network. At the end of the day, we're working with retail agents, smaller agents here in Greenville, Raleigh, Charlotte, wherever, but also across the country. And then it goes to the carrier side where we're partnering and placing the business with. So we've got connections almost everywhere. So it's a small world when you get into insurance. So if you want to go back home to Philadelphia, New York, we can definitely help you, guide you, get those jobs. And Kurt Pickling and Dr. Wells both have those connections as well. So it's a small network. The more you get out, put your name out there, the better off you're going to be career-wise.
You mentioned earlier, you were reminding me of somebody that was in your class who was interesting. That's what we're going to use, interesting. How important is your peer network when you're in school? I mean, not the professors, but the fellow students. How did they impact your career? Do they impact your career?
I'll start off on that one as well. I would say yes. I would say half of the people we graduate we work with day to day or week to week. One of my college roommates, Drew Hardy, he's in Dallas now in a reinsurance firm, and he's putting together a deal for actually a guy who worked with us 2 weeks ago. So it's a small world, both of them now in Texas, but connecting through us with offices in Wilmington. It's just it's intertwined in every facet. And I would say the peer connections will bring you to the next level after you get your career started in insurance.
Yeah, I mean, I'll just add that Mark started out at an agency and decided 6 months in, he was like, I think I don't want to talk to the public. And he texted me and he was like, you think they'll hire me? And they hired him within like a month. I mean, we've been there almost 10 years and we've done pretty well.
So you got hired at RPS first.
Yeah, I was at Hanover first and then
Yeah, they've changed.
Mark called.
Yeah.
I
So,
loved it immediately.
so in other words, the people in your classes can help you find your job.
Right, and your bosses will ask the people that know you if they would vouch for you. And if they're like, that's all I need to hear. That's happened to me with other people that we went to school with. So just keep that in mind. You don't want to burn bridges.
Anything Nick?
I completely agree. I'm still in touch with almost all of my peers from the RMI program. A couple more from Markel. I do a lot of business with them every single day. So,
Hold the mic up so we can hear you.
you know,
There you go.
but I totally agree. I think college is your first job. You know, when you go to put all your employment information in, 4 years of that is East Carolina University. So those are like your coworkers. Your professors are like your bosses. So that's your biggest reference. Coming out of college, you don't have a lot of credibility, and they are your credibility.
Speak to all the young agents conference you went to last week and the connections you had there from just being in Gamma Ivy Senior at ECU, and then connections you had like with Johnson Rep and things like that really helped build your being comfortable at that conference for the first time.
So that was in town when we said, I didn't know it was going to be that big, and like, it was amazing. You go in there and you see so many people you know, all these agents we work with, how many agencies you think we work with, when it's 20, 30. Everybody in town either goes through us or some of our competitors. I have a good friend that works for Johnson & Johnson as a marketing rep, so she was at the conference. I was able to talk to her and discuss some of our competitive products and get an understanding of it all. We actually got to do insurance jeopardy the entire conference. I think we're in the top 20%. Our team, yeah,
Where was this, at Young Age?
Yeah.
young agents
Oh, okay.
through the IAC.
Threw them to the
So I got to talk to some of the RMI kids that were there. It seemed pretty awesome. So.
They are. We think they are. What skills would you say in hiring, what are you looking for when people come to work with you? What are you looking for in them? What do these students need to be working on, polishing up, and preparing for, quote, the real world?
I'll take one of the first points here. I think one of the biggest things that we harp on is two things, is communication being number one. Communication in our business, whether it's internal communication within employees or direct teammates, it needs to be clear, it needs to be concise, and you need to be able to communicate effectively, whether it's verbally or through Teams, through message, or through email. A lot is to be said to put together a grammatically, like a great email, punctuality and everything. It's few and far between now without this. You would be surprised on what we see coming through. As you can see, we probably got half of our office now are East Carolina grads, and that is because of how well the College of Business and the RMI programs set everybody up for the future. The communication is just, I can't harp enough just how much it means to our clients and our carriers on getting the right message across to sell the policy. So I would say that's probably the biggest thing, and then on top of that, probably just self-initiative, hard work, showing up to work on time, being ready, not having a brown bag flu, that kind of stuff. So communication is the one thing I would work on.
Big for me is motivation and drive. I don't really want to sit around and wait for you to tell me you don't have anything to do. If you're ready to learn something else, please ask. Don't ever stop asking questions. You're never going to know it all, whatever you do in life. You're never going to know it all. Don't be afraid to say, I don't know, but I'll get back to you. I think those are huge things for me personally as a manager. And I can say Nick for sure doesn't stop asking questions, and that's why he will be promoted in January. So.
Nick, is there anything else you would look for? Or do you just want me to leave you?
I'm not doing much higher.
All right. Let's see. Did you have internships in the insurance industry while you were in school, over the summer or part-time during a semester?
So I actually worked for the NCIUA, which is the state insurance plan, and got a really good understanding of this coastal market. One thing people don't understand enough is there's a difference between inland insurance and coastal insurance. And they actually have two different companies that run together. And kind of like what I said earlier, we work with Hiscox and I work with them now. I work with NCIUA policies every single day because we write up top of them and actually pair our Markel homeowners product with the NCIUA wind plan. So I worked for them for I think 9 or 10 months this summer, and they probably asked me to stay on under the school year part-time. Take all that knowledge from them and really able to put it into our products today.
What about you, Mark?
So my internship was with Clement & Companies, or Town Insurance here in town. Kurt Bickling actually hooked me up with that job with Jim Clement. So that was, I worked on the retail agent side, and I was pretty much just learning the ins and outs of the day-to-day with the retail agencies. Did that for a year and a half while in school. And what I've learned from that internship it goes a long way. Anything, you just learn what it's like to be in the real world, what's the process. A lot of people think, at the end of the day, us three, we're an underwriting organization. I'm sure every single one of you think we sit behind the computer all day long, 5 days a week. It's not the case. We're on the road 2 or 3 days a week. We have to be behind the computer and do some employment for 2 days. So it's like 50-50. But it's outstanding what you learn. So Town Insurance is now probably one of our larger agencies that we partner with here locally in the Carolinas and Virginia. So learning, meeting them, having that relationship already created, going into this role on the wholesale E&S side has created even more support, more opportunities moving forward in building that book of business by that internship I had here at ECU, County Insurance.
I feel like theirs were a little bit more formal than mine was. I kind of just walked up to my now boss, our now boss, and said I need an internship. And he let me come informally for 2 months, and I got to do hands-on. I mean, yeah, I was mailing stuff out for him, but I learned so much in that 2 months that you don't learn from a book. I wish it was more structured, but I was the first probably intern they ever had. And we now have a plug for this. We actually have an internship available that is a lot more structured than what I had 11 years ago. So if you're a freshman, sophomore, junior, and you are looking for an internship, please come by our booth at the career fair.
And to piggyback off that, it's based out of Wilmington, North Carolina. We've got the beach. Big plus. Bring your resumes. It's a 9-week program. One of the weeks we sent you to Chicago to our headquarters. Spend a week there with 500 interns throughout the United States, different offices, California, New York, to Florida. So it's a huge program. There's a big sales challenge built into this program that an award is given on the 9th week. So we have come a long way from AB's first internship. So definitely, if anybody's interested, local to Wilmington, we'd love to talk to you at the career fair with that internship. Figured we need a quick plug next week.
Yes, you need to, they're looking for good interns.
It is paid.
That was my next question. All of your internships were paid.
Yes, there. All 3 of ours.
Yeah, we discourage unpaid ones because as far as I know, nobody works for free. The internships that want you to work for free probably don't want. Okay, so your internship was important, getting you ready for your career. Did you have other jobs before that, maybe that were not insurance related? I think you worked at a restaurant, right?
Yeah, here.
Yeah. Did that help any with your career? I mean, did you learn things there?
Yeah, I mean, you have to talk to people all the time, right? And you're not always going to get along with them or agree with them, but it's a business, and you got to make it work. Or you shouldn't be working with the public or anybody else. You should find a job that you don't have to talk to anybody.
Like Mark didn't want to.
I guess that's the reason.
Okay, let's see. It has been said, I've heard people say this, Professor Fickling says this, you don't really grow unless you get out of your comfort zone and get away from the people and the surroundings and the things that are most familiar to you. Do you agree with that? And how important is that? How did you get out of your comfort zone?
I mean, I'm uncomfortable right now, right? Networking, throwing yourself out there. That internship, I didn't know anybody in Wilmington, but I sure as hell went, and I've lived there ever since. So, I mean, I think for personal and professional growth, you're gonna have to put yourself in uncomfortable situations to grow, and become better in general. So I suggest going for the job that's not in town, going for the networking opportunity that's uncomfortable at first, but the more you do it, the better you get at it too.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, what Amy said, and everybody's got a different definition of what they're comfortable with and what they're not comfortable with. A lot of our sales guys, they'd be more than comfortable with, they want to take every single one of you guys out for happy hour tonight, have the best time. Then there's some people that don't even want to pick up the phone during the day. So I think definition of comfortable for everybody is different. I would say what the RMI and Gamma Iota Sigma for insurance prepared us for to get us comfortable with what the industry offers is it offered the travel, it offered the networking, it offered talking to, I would say, CEOs, presidents of these companies, but also the new hire down the road that can kind of more relate to you more than the CEO can, just because they're seeing it all. So I think Gamma Iota Sigma did a great job of hitting all different facets to make you comfortable to get in this industry. But it did take for everybody, something different made them uncomfortable that they then built you up to be confident and comfortable in that position moving forward.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think that you're never going to be fully prepared for like the next step, no matter how much you study or ask around. Sometimes you kind of just have to take a little bit of a leap of faith. Even if you're not comfortable, probably mess up a couple things, but then you learn from it. And, it always pays off.
Couple of things I didn't tell you I was gonna ask. As you can see, AB is expecting her second child.
Yes.
I've got twin boys.
Twin boys. How adaptable is this industry, the risk and insurance industry? Because when you started, you were young and single, and
Nick. Right?
and so you know, I mean, you've changed. You've grown up, and you got married, and you have kids. How adaptable is this industry to accommodating lifestyle changes or life changes?
I think it's very accommodating, especially from what we were given with COVID, the COVID years. The COVID years, we would have never imagined ever having anybody work from home. Then we've now got 50-60% of our branch works remote full time. We do have times that we do bring them in to communicate as a team face to face, just because there is, we think, still benefit to that. But the adaptability is, I can't tell you how many times I text Davey at 6 o'clock in the morning and say, hey, I'm not going to be in the office today because I've got one of my kids are sick or they're both sick. So I think, but I'm able to work from home. So the flexibility, the growth, you get to a point where you're not having to put as much work into it on the ground level. So you're not out traveling to the agencies every day. You're not creating that relationship because we've already done that. Of course, there's always time to create more relationships. We've got to teach Nick how to get out there and create those relationships so that he needs a mentor. So we've assigned him a mentor within our branch that has the time to put into it, and that who we want him to kind of focus and grow with as a team. So I think it's the adaptability portion as you grow in your life, personal life. It's very, very good. It just depends. I mean, there's so many different facets, and I don't want to go into dive into details, but Drew in Dallas, he's in London once a month at least. He's in New York City, and he just had a new kid. And he called me another week, and he's like, "Man, I can't keep traveling like this. I want to watch my kids grow up." So, but he's at the point. He's probably in a year transition where he will be able to be in the office, be at home more. But he just took a new path, career path in reinsurance, and it's taken some time to build. So, I think the flexibility is there. It just depends on where you are and what you want your career to be.
How long approximately in this industry, in doing the line work that you do, how long does it take to get to six-figure income?
I would say,
I'd say it depends on what side of the business you're on and how
I would say,
you're getting out there.
I would say a good average would be 3 to 5 years.
Okay.
I know now we're insurance is going through a huge phase of older talent phasing out, needing to replace it with younger talent. When we were in school, and I don't think hiring slowed down by any means in the insurance industry, it's almost 100% placement. AB and I always almost have a position open in Wilmington for a producer, an assistant underwriter, entry level, senior level. It seems to always be a revolve like, hey, it's time to grow, it's time to add somebody. Where do we see fit? So I think it's a fascinating industry. So you can work wherever you want to work. It's countrywide, it's worldwide. I would definitely encourage every single person in here, probably marketing and all the other departments don't want to hear this, but look into risk management and insurance.
Yeah, we got all of that too.
Yeah, and that's the truth. We got a marketing team. We just hired a new marketing TCU grad. It's our marketing rep now. So we hired her for the marketing department. We're a little biased, but we love everything we've got at CPCU.
Great, great. Okay. Biggest regret? I know you said you wish you'd gotten involved earlier, so, but besides that, what kinds of things do you wish you had done in college or perhaps not done in college?
That's a loaded
Mine's that comfort zone. I wish I would have got way farther out of it, taken a bigger risk. You know, I'm from Wilmington, moved back to Wilmington for the job that I absolutely love.
There you go.
You know, I'm not going anywhere. But, you know, if you have the opportunity to move all the way out west, move to London, move anywhere to a bigger city, you know, you should take it. And there's so much opportunity. So many people would say, oh, I don't know if it'll work out, but it just might.
I don't know, I want to second that with Nick, because looking back at it, now having twins, I would love to go work in Scottsdale, Arizona, where pretty much all of our carriers are. Scottsdale's, it's a beautiful place, a lot of career opportunities, favorable tax state. So it's one of those things that you look back on. I wish I would have gone or started my career in a city like that. And then always you've always got your local North Carolina towns to come back to. And with remote work now, hindsight 2020, just about anybody now, if they said, hey, they're a great worker, can I go move here and work remote, we would allow that. So if that was your regret, I would say I'd have to say.
I mean, I'm pretty good where I'm at. I guess that's a great idea, like to get out there, but I'm happy where I am. Love my job. We've been there almost 10 years, and I don't see us changing anytime soon. Nick's going to be here for 10 years plus, right? Maybe doing better freshman and sophomore year. My GPA wasn't the best, but like I still have a job, so I don't know. I'm happy where I am. Okay.
Favorite memory from college or program or anything? Ooh.
Oh, that's a tough one.
I've got a lot of them from these trips that we went on. We had a lot of great networking events, a lot of great steak dinners. But the best memory was Dr. Wells cooked steaks one night at her house for us. And it was a filet. I mean, it was the best steak, I still think, hands down, that I've ever had. So that is my favorite memory. And I've actually said that more today, so it's real.
Thank you.
I'm not just sucking.
Without a doubt. That trip was phenomenal. I think we went to the Prime Meridian in Greenwich, took an Uber water taxi all the way there, 10 times faster than the road. Yeah, Uber water taxi, got on my phone. And, I mean, there's this giant hill right next to the Prime Meridian. You stand on top, you can see the entire city of London skyline, like completely clear view. I mean, it's amazing.
Talking to the mic.
We visited the Cowboy Stadium, we went to DC, we ate at some of the best restaurants, we had a great class that I still keep in touch with, so I can't pick just one. Yeah.
Well, what questions do you all have? I'm sure there's something you want to ask, and I'm out of the question part.
I know y'all mentioned networking a lot. How likely are you guys, this is the first thing in judgment, how likely are y'all to choose someone you know versus somebody that really has resume?
That's a good question. His question is if we would prefer somebody we know versus a really nice resume from all the networking that we mentioned. You have friends, right? Would you always suggest them for a job? Oh, okay. So that's where we're different. I do have one of my best friends that does work with us, but she's come in and like from the start has been amazing for Mark. She doesn't work on my team, and it was a job that we couldn't fill at that point. But I say that I would not be biased over like my friend or a nice resume, but it also depends on what you interview like. And I give multiple interviews because I know people are nervous. So.
Yeah, I'd add to that. I think everybody likes a good resume, a good GPA. Shows you're teachable. But with that resume, if I don't get any kind of personal touch with a handwritten note, an email, any kind of follow-up, that resume is just as good as, to me, as a good interview I had with somebody with not so good of a resume. I've always enjoyed the personal touch after an interview, after meeting somebody, a handwritten letter, this day and time, an email's just fine. But getting that shows that they truly care, that they're wanting to be here, and that they would be a good fit on our team. AB and I have done a lot of work and stressed a lot to every single candidate we interview is to make sure that they fit our team and culture. Our team culture built on that handwritten note, that caring mentality, and that's what we've really turned and started succeeding with hiring from that standpoint.
Anything else? Right?
I'm a finance major, all days gone. What is the sales during like insurance?
So the sales journey in insurance is, there's a lot of different sales journeys you go. In our office, the sales journey is the producer broker. So that is creating a relationship with insurance agencies that we've already got appointed. So we work with about 2,000 agencies between Georgia, South Carolina, North Carolina, and Virginia. We've got the contracts already set up, but we don't have enough manpower to create those relationships. So we've always fostered our top 20% of agents, and as we add on, we bring them up in scale. So we've got your high velocity sales guys or sales agencies, and then we've got our up and comers, new agents. And there's a new agency starting every day, so we partner with them. That's how we work. You've got the retail agent. If you went to go work for, say, your town insurance, Marshall McLennan, Brown & Brown, you can be a true retail agent producer. You're going out calling on franchises, contractors, workers' comp, restaurants, whatever it happens to be. That is working. Now on that side, you're pretty much, you start off with a salary. They put you on usually a 2 or 3 year draw. Perfectly would nail this down to a science for you. But high overviews, they start you out there, you would build a book that matches your salary, then you'd get a commission. But Kurt Fickling behind you, I can introduce you later. He could tell you what he got you in the right way.
There's fundamentally the difference in retail and wholesale agent. Retail agent deals with the public, and a wholesale agent deals with agencies. And so they're not dealing with the insured, they're dealing with the agent of the insured. And my son works in that field too, and really likes the wholesale side of it. So I'd be glad to talk to you about that too. Anything else?
Mark, so I know you like touched on like the idea of like running handwritten and stuff. But like so for us today, like we're going to a career fair and it's just like you're meeting a bunch of people, a bunch of students. Is there anything you say that like we can do to kind of stand out so that we kind of remember our face? Just advice.
Yeah, so that's a good question. The question was, with the career fair today, you see so many different people, what would help stand out? I think doing research on your companies, that your target companies at career fairs. You know, you've got, whether it's 100 people there, 20 people, find out who you're looking to work for. Research the people that are there. Go on LinkedIn, see how long they've been there, see maybe where else they lead, see if you've got any sort of connection to them. Like say your dad or a friend of yours that's a little bit older might work in the same industry, and just kind of pull that relationship together. Those have always stood out for me because it's bringing it to a personal level. Handwritten notes for something like a career fair, I think, is very tedious because everybody you meet, you're not going to go ahead and write on. So, after your conversations, you're interviewing us as hard as we're interviewing you guys. So, usually the fit, you kind of feel the fit's there, would you say? So So I would say after you go through and meet who you wanted to meet, send some kind of personal touch to those 3 to 5 or 10, however many you want. Your number, and just go like that. But if any kind of way you can do the research and find a personal touch or maybe a recommendation that are mutual, those have always gone a long way for me.
I can also say for Mark, sport.
Yeah.
Top sport.
Fair. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I know during a lot of like interviews, people try to say ask questions whenever they finish up the interview because that's a good way to get into the doorway. Is there any like questions you guys think would like really stand out that would be really good during an interview to ask?
I would say I always like somebody that's going to dig in a little bit, try to figure out what the day-to-day looks like. I know the goal for everybody when they graduate college is to find a job. You know, you're not so entrenched in what your day-to-days look like. You just want a job and your first paycheck. So to kind of drill in, just say, hey, is this going to be a good fit for me? What do you do day to day? How does your month to month look? And then what does a career path look for me past the first year of training? And then we kind of go back to you. It's like, where do you see yourself in 2 to 5 years, 2 to 3 years, then 5-year plan? And then going back and forth on that, I think it opens the conversation up to, hey, you want to be here, you want to be here longer than a year, and then find another job. So those are some of the ones that really stand out to myself.
I was gonna ask this question before you said it, but what is your day-to-day?
So my day to day. So it's Nick probably be better off saying this, but so day to day for I'll let Nick answer this one day to day. My day to day could be AB and ours. It just depends. Like there's a lot of meetings for us at a high level, but based on personnel or contracts that we have, how we're looking on renewing these contracts, rates. Then we've got the whole side of the sales. You know, how our partnerships looking. When was the last time we saw these agents put together these pretty much business marketing plans? Just making sure that everything's running as it should and prioritizing where those needs need to go.
I'm not gonna put you on the spot, but I mean, I think like our whole office, I don't want to compare it to a call center. We take a lot of calls from agents. We're answering insurance questions. We're helping them make sure that they place the right coverage for their insurance. We're talking about forms. We are renewing business. We're quoting new business. Some of us are out in the field visiting our agents, bringing new business in, bringing people back home to quote. We have multiple different teams within our office. So day-to-day looks a lot different for me and Mark than it does for Nick. But for the most part, we're around each other a lot.
Good question. We are out of time. So please, I want to thank our panel.